Well, hello, Paul.
Hello, JJ.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It is my favorite day of the week, Friday.
Yes, it is Friday. No, it's not.
It's not Friday?
No, unfortunately it's not Friday today, Paul.
Oh,
Fortunately, it's not. But before we go any farther, who are you?
I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, JJ. I should tell you a bit more
And
about myself. I
yes, you should.
am a managed Openshift black belt at Red Hat, and I'm also a newly crowned Red Hat champion.
Oh, hey,
So
congratulations!
if the desktop background remover would work, anyway,
Nice.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you are.
And who are you?
Yeah, you are. Hello, my name is JJ Asgar, and I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud. And
What
this
kind
is
of
our
champion are
weekly.
you?
I was a VMware champion at one point.
Ooh, ooh,
Or
that
V
didn't age
expert,
well.
I guess. Yeah, no, it really didn't. Um, because I didn't keep up with it. Um, my mom says I'm a champion. Does that count?
Well, you are a champion in my book.
There you go. That's all the champion I need. But yes, this is our weekly Thursday stream where Paul and I do something cloudy. Um, and last week, what did we do last week? It was interesting, wasn't it?
I hope it was interesting. So we attempted to write an Ansible playbook to deploy Arrow clusters. Arrow being Azure Red Hat OpenShift, which is the OpenShift you know and love, but it's run for you on the cloud,
Yep.
specifically Azure.
Yep.
And so we got a fair way through it. We found uh, the Azure Ansible modules. We got our requirements.txt built out. We got Ansible working. We based it off the Arrow Quick Start that's on the mob.ninja, mobb.ninja website, and basically went through the steps and copied from, you know, shell commands to Ansible
Mm-hmm.
modules. The
Which,
only thing,
sorry, I just want to throw this in there. If you are watching this in the future or now, that's actually a very common way of building up Ansible playbooks. Is you get a bunch of you bet your how to on how to do something, and then you take those commands and you wrap Ansible around it, so it becomes idempotent and the ability to actually just get it done for you. So it's a very natural progression.
yeah, I'm a big proponent of you have to know it before you can automate it. And so
Mhm.
I will always write docs on doing something first, which look very much like a series of shell commands that could, in theory, become a bash script.
Mhm.
And then I sort of take it from there and figure out what's the best way to automate this, what tool should I reach for. And some things work well in one tool versus another. Say, what are the two ones that kids love to use right now? Terraform, there's Pulumi, there's
Mhm.
Ansible, right? They all have their own things.
Mhm.
What I like about Ansible is it is incredibly easy for people to read and write, and it does things in the order you tell it to, and it basically goes through step by step, which can mean it can be a bit slower than some other stuff, but it also means that when you have things in which order is very important, you don't have to hope that the like some like in memory graph of order of importance is built for you. You just write
Mhm.
it in the order in which you want it done.
Yep.
And it becomes especially useful if you need some steps to wait for other steps that may not know about each other.
Yep.
And so, as a general rule, I do reach for Ansible, but I'm not against using any of the tools to achieve the same results.
Nice. So we successfully built our Azure playbook last week. We
Yep.
got the first initial build. We were going to start somewhere today. We were gonna not gold plate it because it's not. First of all, it's not idempotent, which is important to know. We
Well, it
also
nearly is.
discover nearly is, But we also discovered something after when we did our little retro on the stream, which we should probably start there too.
Hmm.
And then hopefully we can extend this to build multiple clusters, or do you ever want to just do one cluster with this thing?
Well, I mean, it can already do multiple clusters because it just uses the Ansible inventory. So if we add more hosts, we get more clusters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
enough for
and we
me.
can actually, I can, what's that?
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, and I can talk you through how we would do that because that's, yeah, as I said, it's done by the Ansible inventory. So yeah, I think we can look at switching to the ARO module, or at least
Mm-hmm.
making our arrow creation command idempotent. Both are valid options. We can write the delete role. And when we do
Mm-hmm.
that, we have a couple of options. We can discretely delete every resource, or we can just blast the resource group.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be good to discretely delete each one because there are potential use cases where somebody might use an existing resource group or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
existing other infrastructure. And so it'd be nice to give them ways to control deleting the entire resource group or not.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense.
So that's that. There's Arrow has the ability to make your API and or ingress endpoints private, so not public.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to think about how we would add those in as toggles. And then if they are private, we'll need some sort of way to access it. So I was thinking like a jump host we can SSH shuttle into, or use a SSH-based SOCKS proxy or something
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to access what we need. And the other thing I thought we should do, and this might actually be something we do pretty early on the stream, is actually build out the Docker image to load all this into, because Ansible and virtual envs and stuff are hard,
Oh,
especially on,
yeah.
say, Windows machines.
Oh, good point.
And
Very
so
good
if
point.
we have a fairly easy to use Docker image, that would also be useful.
Okay.
So that's
So you're
kind of
saying
our list of things. And I actually wrote up a to-do. Oh yeah, I should share my screen.
you wrote up a to do.
I
What
wrote up
are
a
you some type?
to-do
Are you
list.
some type of professional or something? What's going on here?
I occasionally aspire to be a professional. And so if I go ahead and share my screen.
Well, hello, Kevin. How are you?
Oh, Kevin's on. He's a OG Ansible expert.
He is.
All right. So I guess quick reminder. This is the document we're basically turning into an Ansible playbook. And I think we got all the way through it apart from cleaning up after ourselves. The other thing that's on here that I should mention is if someone is trying to follow on at home, chances are if it's a fairly fresh Azure account, you won't have the quota required. So there is a misspelt addendum here that tells you how to get the right quota for an arrow cluster from Azure.
So Upset Badger says because Python is hard is my answer for everything from now
Yes,
on. I'd love to
definitely.
know a little
There
bit
we
more
go.
around that.
We'll make that, I think.
There you go.
Well, I mean, you remember when we were trying to build this out, right? It wasn't
Oh
particularly
yeah, I
fun.
guess that's true. That is
Yeah.
true.
And actually, I did notice that, look, we've already got that declared. So if we were on this fresh, it would probably fail. And
Yeah, I
so
get very angry.
we should comment that out at the very least. And we'll probably find that if and when we do the Docker image. But here's our to-do list. So switch to ARO module. So let's have a look at this fella. So I did find the module here, Azure RM OpenShift Managed Cluster. So if we look through the parameters
Wait.
takes.
So this is a module on top of the Azure module?
No, this
Right?
is part of the AZ collection. For some reason, when we were looking for it, we failed, I think.
Got it.
Yeah. But
Or we
here it
didn't really
is.
look for it.
Let me see. So we have our parameters. This all looks pretty straightforward. Oh, interesting. Has the opportunity to use GovCloud.
Mm. You
Cluster
want to put this in China?
profile. Pull
Cluster in China.
secret. Domain. Ingress profile. Okay, so this would be if you want to set it private or not. Location, master profile. So these are things we could look at adding inventory variables for going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Network profile, password. Use when authenticating with a interesting. Why would I want that? Security profile.
Because you might not be using service principals. You might have your AD on Azure, right?
Right, but like it, I just want it to use I want it to use the same creds that all the other modules are using. And want service principal profile. So this is interesting. So from memory, the ARO, the AZ ARO command actually creates a service principal profile for you.
Mm.
Whereas here it's actually saying that it's required that we provide it.
Interesting.
And that's going to be a pain to do. So I'm actually thinking we'll probably spend the entire stream trying to figure that out. So I'm actually thinking we might just make the command we have idempotent and work from that.
Okay.
Because the other thing I think I saw, here's the other thing, master profile, it wants a subnet ID, whereas with the CLI, you provide the subnet name. So for the subnet ID, we would need to register the output of the subnet create and then like parse through the output, find the right JSON and turn that into a variable and pass that along. So I'm going to say that it right there is enough to say, let's just stick with the shelled out command we have.
But is there a fax collection to get Azure resources?
Well,
could you use the fax service to like call out to Azure to get all that information for you? And then is that a possibility or no?
So sort of. The modules themselves will actually give you what? That's not cool.
That's not good.
The modules themselves will give you the details when they've created the resource. And so you just need to register its output. And then I think there were some easy modules in here for collecting info versus doing work.
Got it. Okay. It was just a thought because that's the advantage of the collection at the beginning, right? Is that it should grab all that information for you, but if it's not going to be like one more resource,
it would have to know to like inspect every single thing in your Azure account.
Yeah, I guess.
Right, and so the better way is see how all of these have a info.
Yeah.
So if we find virtual network
info, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So we would use this if someone provided their own network and provided the network ID, we would maybe use this to introspect it and get things like the list of subnets and stuff like that.
Got it.
But because we're creating them, we can just use the output from the create and avoid doing the second step.
Cool.
All right, so let's pop back to our roles. It's all under infra create right now. So let's have a look here. So we've got all of these things like so. We've got this shell here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment that out.
No, you're going to touch a dot file on the local directory. And if that dot file is there, skip it.
No, don't be silly. Because I mean, that kind of works, except the next person who runs this from another location won't have that
Sure.
dot file.
That is
right?
true.
So the way we would do it is we would say name check if cluster exists shell.
Really? Come on, Copilot. Stop making our lives too easy. That ain't right.
We can just do that as a command. Actually, there's no need to do a full shell, and obviously we need to put it in quotes because it contains variables. And then we do register. Now, when I do registers like this, I like to prefix it with a underscore, and that's my way of saying it's a like an internal variable that I use.
That's a standard Python practice, isn't it?
I don't know, is it?
I
Probably.
think it is. Yeah, and then the double one is like for the actual interpreter, but single is like to say this is only internal for this module or whatever. So.
And this actually might give us what we need. No, we want to say that.
Yep.
Right. So basically, we're checking if it exists, and if it exists, we'll get an RC of 0, return code of 0.
Yes, good call. Yeah, okay.
If it doesn't exist, we should get an error,
yep.
And we can just say, okay, we'll go ahead and create it.
Wow.
Really and that is probably going to get us there. There might be some weird edge cases that we might need to actually inspect the actual standard output, convert it into a JSON blob, and look at objects. But I think this will probably work.
That is really straightforward and easy.
Yeah.
There was a product I used to work on that was significantly harder to do that, and I am horribly jealous right now.
Right.
Horribly jealous.
Well, and so we will do similar for deleting it, right? We'll check to see if it exists, and we'll actually delete it if the RC code is 0. Is 0. Yep. The other thing I might do.
Hang on. Is your homeboy failed behind you. Check it out.
Failed? No.
The command.
It succeeded.
Oh?
Our orange is changed.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Green is nothing changed. Orange is changed, and then red is failed.
My bad. Sorry.
That is your bad. You are correct. And so here's the other thing we do here, because if we run this, it will actually show as changed, right? And so it's going to think something's changed that hasn't. So we can do changed when false. We can also do failed when false. And so that's going to say this basically says this command can never fail, and it can never change anything.
Got it.
And so that won't mess with our statistics here, because some people actually capture changes and kick that off as like a spike to stick in their metrics. So anytime Ansible makes changes, their metrics show a spike so that they know if a change causes massive extra use of memory or something like that.
But can we safely assume, because it calls the AZ command there, should we say that it should never be able to fail because maybe you don't have the AZ command installed, or because it's already so far into the playbook, we shouldn't have to worry about gating that?
That's a good call.
I'd imagine failed should be okay, right? Or not false. I think that feels like a compromise.
Oh, you know what? It's fine.
Why is that?
We should actually check that the AZ command exists.
Yes.
So let's do to do. Check if AZ. Yeah, that is actually a really good call, because I'm not sure what return code will be here if there's nothing to actually run. So yeah, that'll probably help us with that.
All right, I'm done. I'm out.
You're done?
Yeah, I'm
the
done.
other thing we should do is actually pull this pull secret path into a variable.
Variable. Yep. Yeah, that seems very reasonable. Oh, there it is right there at the bottom. Just
Yeah.
AZR pull secret.
Right.
So, another question while you're messing with variables here. Is there a way to output a playbook like that main.yaml with all the variables populated so you could actually read through everything before running through it through the whole thing? Does that make sense? Like, can you like run? Can you like populate those variables to make sure it all shows up where it's supposed to?
I mean, you could do a like Ansible playbook, blah blah blah. I think it's dry run, and then like verbose,
Okay.
and that would show you, or is it logging
Populate it.
equals?
There's interpolate. Interpolate is the word I'm looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, and so that will actually print out effectively what's happening or what's supposed to happen, and you could pass it that way. Yeah, that would be the easiest way.
Spelling mistakes exist, you know.
Yeah,
You aim to run a playbook for like 45 minutes to find out that
right
switched an A and an R.
And then we should also do, while we're thinking about it, AZ arrow. API public true. Yes. True. And then AZ arrow H. Yeah.
If anyone has any questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate to throw them in the chat. I am paying attention.
Yeah, I think the other one is ingress. Visibility. But we could also do master VM size, worker count.
Yeah, you probably want some
VM
same
size.
defaults, right? And then let them override.
Yeah, that's what we should do. But like, I don't know. I don't want to spend all the time just writing extra Shelly bits. So I think but I don't really want no wait in here, because I actually do want the playbook to wait until the cluster is ready.
But then can't the playbook like time out?
It could time out. So I think what I would actually rather do is effectively
have that in a for loop
rerun
or a
this.
while loop.
Exactly. And
just
do
be like, hey, are you there? Hey, are you there?
And then we'll basically rerun this, and then we would do how do we do a retry loop again?
Wild true colon. Oh yeah, that's exactly what Fesnut said. Right there, the async option.
Yeah, let's have a look at this.
I really don't know why he's not even here. He knows he has an open invite to this thing. He knows how to find us.
Oh yeah, this is way better than doing a retry loop. Huh. I love it.
Well,
So
Fesnut's-
async is like the amount of time?
I mean, tries, I think. Because the built-in command sleep 15, async of probably 15 times, maybe.
Gotcha.
Or at least that's how I interpreted it.
And then we probably don't need these.
Yeah, but go ahead and grab that line 58 and run that command in right now. See what it comes out as. Right? Because I'm really curious to see what it actually does.
Okay. Name potato resource potato.
Something's not happy. Interesting.
Yeah. And then
Okay. Okay.
But we never actually ran this yet.
Yeah, but I guess in my mind I was worried that if you went back to that async thing, the sleep example is exit zeros, I'm assuming, on those sleeps. So I was wondering how the poll and the async kind of attach themselves to that.
Yeah, so I guess if this fails, it will exit with a non-zero, which probably kicks off the async poll. I think. Oops, hit the wrong button.
That smells right, but hang on.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I see. I see what we have to do here. We actually need an async status.
Ah, okay. Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
We do need to run this soon just to make sure that we haven't broken something else.
Yeah.
we are poking around a lot.
So built-in register. So we need to emulate that. Okay, we need to basically do this lookup now. Click on the creation. So actually, we actually want this up here. That's the thing that's doing the work. And then just, arrow create. And then
Mr. Popular over there.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on, I'll tell my phone to shut up. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. The phone does demand my attention. Okay, so I want to just check async and poll. We need to make these numbers big enough. Ansible will still block the next task and waiting for async task either completes, fails, or times out. Task will only time out if it exceeds the timeout you set with the async parameter. Okay, so async is a timeout, which I assume is seconds.
Yes.
And there's 3600.
Wait, so running the async on the creation command, line 57 right there, you're saying, hey, put this in the background and just chill out for up to 3,600 seconds, polling every 30 seconds to do something, to just like stop, right? Then the next one is like, hey, verify. But still, it'll just sit there for 3,600 seconds, no matter what. That's how I'm reading it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see. So if you need a synchronization point, you can register it later. So that's basically... Okay.
Kevin agrees, I think.
Yeah. And then, all right.
What's the Ansible playbook or Ansible task timeout? 0.
Whole 0, according to Kevin.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
And I think our retries and delay probably need to line up to match the async timeout.
Seems reasonable.
Right?
But you can have that delay of like 10 seconds because it'll shove it in the background, run it, and then you want to poll, and it might take less time than the 3,600. So you want it to try every 10 seconds,
right?
To be like, oh, okay, hey, it's here, cool.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the other thing we need to do. I think we want to put these two things into a block.
I don't know what is block.
Block basically makes these
one task. Okay.
So, and then what I can do is put that on the block. Because if we don't run this, then we don't want to run the other one.
Our Python expert says we're doing good.
All right. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So we'll run make create, which we remember is wrapping our Ansible playbook command. And we should pop through most stuff pretty quick. And we have failed at life. An option with an undefined AZARO name is undefined. Wait, where are we? Line 37. Oh, autocomplete did not quite get it right. Let's try again. Yeah, Kevin, Windows 11, you are correct. Upgraded from 10 a month ago, mostly to get the Whistle 2 with graphics. Not that I've actually used graphics yet. Uh-oh. Oh, we need to ternary. Far out.
Sorry,
Do I remember how ternary works? Ternary.
What does that mean?
Oh, I want it the other way around. Does JJ not know ternary?
I don't. This is new to me.
All right. Let me just throw this in, and I'll tell you what it does. Right. So these two arguments are expecting the word private or the word public, right?
Okay.
But I actually don't want to expose that as options to my end user, because this is a binary choice, true or false, right?
Okay, sure.
Therefore, I'm calling it API public, true, false. And so what ternary will say is, if it's true, it will return the first. If it's false, it will return the second.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So that will achieve the result I want. And then we could even, you can put a third option in, which is if it's not set.
Nice.
But it's always going to be set in our case. So it should do what we need. Yeah, Kevin, I find Windows is one of the best window managers I've ever used for Linux, which I know our friends around the shop get mad when we say things like that, because I don't know, i3 and like Window Maker or whatever hot garbage people like to use for tiling windows, but whatever. I'm too old and too lazy to fight with Linux window managers.
i3. Do I really want to spend seven days of my life setting up my tiling window manager?
Kevin said he's watching from Manjaro and KDE. I guess the next question is, what the hell is Manjaro? Is that a new Linux distribution I don't know about?
I believe so.
Am I so old I don't even know the Linux distributions anymore? Or is this a trick to get me to Google to like some not safe for work images? Open that we enjoyed on blah blah blah.
It's Arch.
Oh, is it like Arch but for humans?
Yes, I think so.
All the fun and excitement of Arch without all the lovingly handcrafting the entire distribution.
I'm curious about that Manjaro shell.
I'm pretty excited. I kind of want to try this now. Hey, Manjaro, send me a free mini PC, and JJ and I will stream about it.
Absolutely.
Cool. I will have to play with it. And you said KDE. So the Windows Manager I used to use was the XFCE, I think. I wonder if they have. Anyway, we don't need to go too deep into here, but oh, here we go. There we go. XFCE, KDE, and GNOME editions. Wow. Cool. Yeah, I enjoy the simplicity of XFCE. It reminds me of Windows 95 in a way. But one thing I found with XFCE is some of its support for configuring like Wi-Fi and VPN and like Thunderbolt devices and stuff like that gets super lacking, and you end up hand editing config files, and I'm too old for that. If I want to do that, I'll use Arch. And so I did switch to GNOME 3 for a little while, and then ended up just saying screw it and switching to Windows. Kevin says KDE is basically just Windows Lite. Now, we did tell it to wait here. And so we can wait the entire 45 minutes for the cluster to come up, but I'm not going to do that. What we want to do is check its idempotency. So let's go ahead and rerun make create and make sure our test works. Nice.
Ooh. Wait.
No, that's just because I scrolled with the mouse accidentally. Now, what's cool here is we do have standard out, and that standard out gives us a bunch of details, and there should be so visibility is public. There should be something that says, am I ready? Nope. Let's so Kevin's saying that because of the async task, we can actually do other work and come back to it. And so say we want to, say we've made it private and we want to create our jump host, we could actually kick off a jump host creation as well. And we could even also make that asynchronous. And so if we have a bunch of tasks that don't need to wait on each other, but they do have preceding things, then we can kind of use async tasks to let us do multiple things at the same time. Like for instance, we might do, that's probably the longest job is creating the arrow cluster. So we want to get to that as soon as possible. And once that's created, we might go back, create an extra subnet and instance and whatever else we need for a jump host. And then, come back to the async checker when we've done that other stuff. But we're not gonna do that right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pop back here, and we want to rerun this. And actually, I can pop back to see it's giving us our command there. So the cluster name is this, and the resource group is Openshift. We can run this command here. Now, what's good is the AZ gives us JSON by default. So we can do JQ dot and get.
It's got to be like a status creating. There it is. Provisioning state. Provisioning state.
I'm not seeing it.
Down. Up there.
So we can do dot provisioning state.
Is it inside something?
Nope.
No. Scroll up. It's inside something. One up. Huh?
It's definitely inside something. Is it all inside cluster profile? No.
No.
ID, location, name, provisioning state. No, it's not inside anything.
You need to put quotes around it?
Oh, I need to spell it right.
That can help.
Provisioning state. Creating. So we can also be a little bit smarter and use outputs and filters on So we can do -o tsv and then query that. Oh, it needs to be a J. It needs to be a fucking JMES path. God damn it. But I think I might have enough doc here. Towards the end, we run a couple of things to get passwords and stuff. Oh, just no dot. Great job, Paul. Great job. Right. And so I can do that. And that means I don't have to do a from JSON, right? Because I only just grab the piece of output I want.
Do we know the different states it might be in?
What's that?
Do we know the different states other than creating it might be in?
I
for
think
a specific state.
I think ready is probably the other state we're looking for.
Because you never know, there might be like a state between creating and ready that might. Like
Yeah. So basically, I'll do it if not ready.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So yeah, so we've registered ARO show. Now we could do that output here, but we're actually interested in the full output of it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we want changed when false, and we want failed when false, and then we want tails. Change when false, failed when false. We do want to do a retry here. Until ARO show standard out.
The standard out is just a string, right?
Yeah. So we need to do from JSON. And we want to put this in here. Oops. And we want provisioning state. But it's saying succeeded, so why not? So it succeeded. And try some shit in here again. I feel like we didn't quite get that right. Oh, well, we definitely need quotes around it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. You're right. This is just a good call, Kevin. This is actually just like a piece of code, so we don't need the quotes. We can just literally do that. And then, assuming Oh, we've done it again.
Mm-hmm. It's smelling right.
Yeah. So again, what I kind of want to do is, we kind of need to let it run through until it works. Assuming succeeded is correct.
Yes.
Which actually we had some other stuff. Oh my god. The infinitely scrolling scroll wheel. We have some other stuff returning provisioning states, and they're all succeeded. So therefore, I think it is safe to assume that will give us succeeded. So next, what we want to do is get credentials for the cluster. And so what we need is, we need 4 bits of output from the cluster. We need the console, the API, username, and the password, right? And I think we have commands to get those here. So we can do this. Let's grab these. Actually, let's pop back to let's see if there's a credentials outputs.
That'd be too easy.
No, okay. So we definitely need to shell out to get these. Name. Okay. Look at this
Oh, there
shit.
you go. Yep.
Look at
Just did it
this.
for you. It did
Look
it
at
for you
this.
and got the AZRO cluster name correct too.
Dude, WTF. So let's, I don't know. Anyway, we're getting the credentials, name, get cluster,
URL or endpoint.
I can't even right now. That really, is that how we get the API
So.
endpoint? We can come back to that. Nah, it guessed and it got it wrong. I think what we want is, oh, here we go. It's just doing an AZ arrow show to get the console profile, and I bet you there's another one to get that API. So we can pull those out. So now we can do this. We can do debug message, boom, and
There you go.
but this isn't actually accurate. So we need to figure that out.
You don't want debug, do you? You want this to just be always out when it's done, right?
Yeah, what's the...
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
But
I
I
always
know it's
just
not
do
debug.
I always just do debug because I'm
Okay.
lazy. You can do usually do the velocity 0, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just what I've always done. So that's going to give us credentials. But we might actually want we want username, password, but this will actually be another JSON. Actually, we don't want quotes because it's in a block. Console URL. That's not right, but we'll have a look at it anyway. And API URL. Actually, we're getting these ones from ARO show standard out. Whoa. Those are probably wrong. Yeah, Kevin, this is Copilot that's trying to finish off a bunch of my shit for me. So far, it's been pretty strong and surprising. I would say, like last stream, I would say it was like 95% correct when we were doing stuff. And it's really good for finishing off command line arguments and like JSON queries and JME queries and stuff. It kind of figures out what you're trying to do and just dumps the whole query out for you, which is pretty dang useful. So let's come back to our ARO show. ARO show. This is here. AQ dot. Okay, so console profile.url and ingress profile. No. Oh yeah, so when the console's ready, it'll show up here instead of null. And then we just want the API server profile and then URL. URL. I think this will get us what we need. And then there is a way to log into Openshift. Give me 1 second. OC login.
Happy pasta.
Actually, I'm gonna grab this. No, it's fine. So we can now do ugly. That's fine. Whatever. OC login to the API. So we'll grab this again. Put that in there. And username. Password. And actually, let's run the show credentials command. Credentials. I'm going to do this off screen. Just in case. List credentials. There's my first mistake. List credentials. All right. So here it says request not allowed in provisioning state creating, which is fine. But it will work once this guy has finished. We can get rid of that debug there. No longer needed. So this will print out our console URI, our API URL, username, password, and login. Now, obviously, this comes with some risk because it's printing this stuff out to the screen, and therefore, like the cluster admin password will just show up in plain text anytime someone runs this. So that is a thing to think about. And the better way to do this may actually be, and let me grab it. What might be better here, I'll just talk through it, is if instead of doing these, we actually give the AZ ARO commands to output the right things and just output them directly into environment variables. And that way they're not actually shown on screen. And then so when the person uses OC login, it'll use the environment variables, and the environment variables will be defined here. And you would just basically say, copy and paste this entire block to log in.
Yeah, actually, that's a very reasonable thing to do.
But I think there's also a way to do like obscure sensitive data as well. with Ansible output, but that's fine. We don't need to care too much about that for this purpose. So how are we at with AZ arrow show? Oh. Oh, that's fun. The arrow show. Provisioning state is still creating. I was hoping we would kill enough time to do one last run of this to see the output. But this, I think, is going to get us to where we want to go. In our to-dos, so we have, we killed that. We still need to do that. We did that. So have a look at make Docker image. So I hopefully already have a lot of this done. So let's see what we have. We no longer need this. This came from a previous playbook I'd used.
Line 14.
Yeah, both of these. But we do need to grab... actually, we don't need them here. I'll just comment them out for now. Oh. So basically, grabbing Python and then building our virtual env, copying our requirements in, and then building our requirements. And then it's doing a second one, which is then going to get just the minimum, and it's going to copy the virtual env from one to the other. And so we might need to get the AZ CLI and figure out how to download that. But just go ahead and make Docker make build. There's our make file. Make Docker image. Arrow. Make Docker image. Oh. JJ.
I think Fancy we had Podman on this one. I think we had Podman on this one.
In that case, we want Builder, right?
Ugh. Well, this is a good place for us to start next week.
Yeah, we can look at this next week. All right, good call. So let's hope somehow maybe we've just gotten through. No, we're still creating. Okay, so I think this is probably this is a fine place to end. So we did get it to be idempotent. We added the private options. And
we learned about async.
We learned about async, and we did some retry loops, and we have it to output the correct information once the cluster is created to give us the ability to log into the cluster and actually start Kubernetesing. Yeah, I think that'll do us.
Sounds good. We'll be here next week. So tell your friends that if they want to see two nerds hack on some Ansible, it's time to be.
Yeah, and tell your enemies too.
Exactly. All right. Say bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul.